Breaking into the Scrum Master or Agile Coach field isn't easy. And now, with all the turbulence going on in the industry, it might be as difficult as ever. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. When companies raise the bar, it means they're seeking world-class performers. And I love asking the question, is what you do world-class? Are you a world-class Agile Coach or Scrum Master? Let's see how you stand a job interview. Today, I'll not only walk you through sample interview questions, but also share the key areas you should be prepared in and how your interview may differ depending who's interviewing. Is it an Agile lead, a VP of engineering, a CPO? So depending on that profile, interview may vary. And lastly, I'll help you craft your own questions so you can assess whether the organization is a good fit for you. Let's go! Hi, I'm Maria, and this is the Agile State of Mind. Welcome, and welcome to the episode on Agile Coach and Scrum Master interview. I'm not differentiating much between the two roles because that's also something that you will learn today. I know that there are people that think an Agile Coach is kind of a senior Scrum Master and has a bigger influence in the whole company, but it's not always the case. So that's also one of the things you need to learn on your interview to understand what your role will be about. My quest today is to prepare you for an Agile interview in a way that you can actually learn more and grow knowing what is expected. Subscribe to my Substack and read my post to get very in-depth knowledge about how to prepare and become a world-class Agile Coach. You will get asked about Agile and Agile frameworks. Maybe an Agile manifesto needs a refresh. You need to talk about Scrum, Kanban, depending on what company does. Then there will be also questions about scaling. There will be something about team dynamics, team building, conflict resolution, facilitation. Change management is an important topic, especially bringing people on board to any change that there might be. Also, sometimes there will be some questions about resistance to Scrum and how you bring on board the ones that don't want to go on the meeting. There might be something about coaching and mentoring and metrics and how you prove your value. That's something that you might get asked, but if they are looking for a person, they should know the value, right? So I really advise you to bring up that topic yourself and explain how you would provide value and how you would measure it. Will a junior entry-level Scrum Master get the same questions as a senior level one? Probably not. In my experience, the junior entry-level Scrum Masters will get questions about real situations, dealing with the team on resistance to Scrum and getting more things about how do you actually understand Scrum, what is Agile for you, and so on. Some more experienced people, if the interviewer really wants to assess if that's a good fit for their company, they should ask something around, those are our challenges. Have you ever dealt with these kind of challenges? And what can you give me some examples? So pro tip from me is always give examples, put yourself in the situation and give examples. It's really important. I remember when I was interviewing people and they were just answering with one phrase or one word, the questions I was asking, I was not really getting if they will be a good fit. It's really hard to determine. So pro tip number one, put yourself in the situation, tell a story, explain it. If it didn't happen, imagine the situation, how you would deal with it. So now, the different kinds of interviews and questions asked by different profiles. In my career, I was interviewed by different roles. So when it comes to the Agile lead, so there is an Agile practice within a company, and they will ask typically about Agile. What's my favorite Agile manifesto principle? I got a question about what did you learn from the last retrospective? You will be asked quite a lot of questions about Agile retrospectives because that's one of the main meetings you need to be able to facilitate so we can directly evaluate your knowledge about Agile, knowledge about Scrum, and facilitation skills. That can also be asked in a way: there is a team member that doesn't see any value in the Agile retrospectives or all Agile meetings. What do you do? Then you will be asked about different scaled approaches, because people will ask you about your experiences and usually about what are you doing currently in a job, which I don't think is the best way to interview a person, because not all the choices depend on you, but that will happen. So try to think about different experiences you had and whether you have already worked with scaling Agile, what kind of approach you use, and what are the typical pitfalls, what are the typical challenges in these. Then there will be a lot of situational questions. So imagine you have a whole team in a different country and just the PO and you are in Europe. What do you do? Have you got any experience with the remote work? How does that work for you? Then, if from these people, you might get some questions about what we call unicorn learning. So something that's not so typical. So typically you will get asked about Scrum, right? And retrospectives. In these interviews, you might get asked about Kanban, about how do you implement a WIP limit? Do you know anything about flow metrics? Then you might get about some questions about design thinking or design sprints, professional coaching. If the company is in SAFe, you will be asked about SAFe and the jargon, if you understand what it means. Then if we go to a VP of engineering and somebody that's technical, the first question will be, what kind of teams have you worked with? So have you worked with more like cross-functional teams, back-end teams, front-end, infrastructure, and so on? They will want to find some similarities to what you are asked here. So this is the moment that you also ask what kind of teams you have to understand if it's a good fit for you too. It doesn't mean obviously that if you work with front-end teams, you will not be able to work with the back-end ones, but it's good to find ways to show that. You will get the inevitable question of how technical are you? Have you been a developer? Have you been coding? And so on. So those are the typical questions from a tech lead. If you have, great, explain. If you haven't, it's good to have a good way to showing them that is that really necessary. I like to say, if you have architects, do you ask them about soft skills and how they create meetings to collaborate on their technical specifications? You probably don't. And then if you do, then why do you need the agile person if the architect can do it on their own? This is what we do, right? We help people collaborate. We help fill in the gaps in the soft skills that they might have and bring people together and collaborate. So be prepared for that question to get gracefully out of it. I like to tell just a few stories of how I help the SDLC, very technical cloud developers to collaborate better, and how I bring together the architects with the teams and help them get on the same page. And there will be some more advanced questions like, how do you keep yourself energized the whole day? Or have you worked with somebody that often changes their minds? What do you do? How did you deal with it? Or you are in a team on a retrospective and somebody suggests a very unreasonable solution to a problem. What do? Do you let them fail or do you intervene and explain? So that will be all for today. Remember, every question you get asked is not just a test of your knowledge. It's actually an opportunity for you to showcase your knowledge, your soft skills and technical skills, and also your passion for guiding and working with the teams. Connect them to your journey. Share real stories where you made a difference. Also, when you made mistakes and you learned from them, that will show your capacity and authenticity. While preparing, remember to showcase your leadership skills. Those are very important skills. How you can influence others, how you can influence the stakeholders, the upper leadership. Before we go, I would like to thank my dear friend Dorothea for inspiring me to make this video, and also remind you to go to my Substack to find more questions and how to deal with them. Do you have any weird questions that somebody asked? Comment below with any weird questions. It will be really interesting to see what we have to prepare for. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.